Welcome to Oriental AM, your source for the latest happenings in Gensokyo and beyond. Broadcasting to you pre-recorded from somewhere on Yokai Mountain, and now, your host, MC.
Welcome back to Oriental AM. It's been 11 months since the last episode. Unfortunately, we were trying to be more consistent, but that kind of went out the window, I guess. So we're here again, 11 months later. I'm here with Bitter Edge again for this episode. Say hello.
Hey, what up?
Yeah.
Howdy do, B.
Oh, yeah. In this time we've been doing like the live streams and such, but Oriental AM has just been dead. You may notice the mic quality. My mic quality is infinitely superior to how it has been in the past. I don't know how I thought that my mic quality was good before. It really was not. It was so bad. So anyway, let's get this out of the way at the beginning. If you want to download this episode, there will be a link in the description to an MP3 format file if you want to listen to it on the go. So, here we go. Oh man, what to talk about? I've got so many notes here. Just things that I needed to talk about. Stuff that I wanted to talk about a while ago. It's kind of out of date now. It's been so long since we did one of these episodes, you know? But I'm still going to mention this stuff. So, in the past, I think during a live stream, or maybe it was in episode 7 or something like that, I claimed that Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom soundtrack was not very good. And that's the thing. I think that I have a bias against it because the final and X-Boss, like both the final and X-Boss music in that game were a little bit boring and repetitive. And so it just kind of, those are like really big deals, you know? But the thing is, Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom has a fantastic soundtrack. It's really, really good. It's like just those two, and that makes me remember it as not being very good overall, even though that's really not the case. So let me just apologize for my sin, okay? Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom is a trash game, but the soundtrack is good, right?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, and Toho 17, you know, that came out. And before that came out, we were making predictions about a manga tie-in with Kasen as a boss in the game, and then the fourth Diva of the Mountain as the final boss. Unfortunately, that was very far from the case. It had nothing to do with the manga. I mean, it made sense at the time, but yeah, no, we were totally wrong about that. Still waiting on the fourth Diva. Don't know who that is. And then there was our Lunatic 1cc challenge. Me and Charles were planning to attempt a Lunatic 1cc of Toho 17 when it came out. We had a bet to see which of us could 1cc the game first, and we just we called that off because Charles is clearly not in shape for playing on Lunatic difficulty. If you've been seeing the live streams recently, oh man, he's out of shape. He is very out of shape. He didn't even manage to 1cc. No, he didn't even manage to beat the game on normal difficulty, let alone 1cc it.
Hey, it's a good thing I'm not doing any live streaming, though.
Yeah, no. But you don't play Toho very much. You know, Charles, he's played a lot of Toho. I don't even know if I can believe him anymore, because he's claimed that in the past he has been able to, like, perfect Utsuho. He showed me this video of him perfecting Utsuho, and it's like, when he's playing like this, not just perfect in Utsuho, but I mean on Lunatic difficulty as well. And he claims that he's beat every extra stage up to like 13, I think. And yeah. I don't know if I can believe that anymore. I mean, you don't just lose skill like that drastically, you know? I don't know, man. I don't know. And he's oh god, during the live streams, he's such a backseat gamer. Holy shit. I remember when we were doing the Yomu Wolf Lunatic live stream where I was trying to capture every spell card in the game. There was one moment in particular in which I managed to capture Yachie's opener on my first try, right? Kicho. I think that's her name. Anyway, yeah, I managed to capture her opening spell card in my first try, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe I just did that. And Charles is like, you'd have to be an idiot to not capture that one. This one's easy. I'm like, dude. And you know what, too? I was watching the live streams recently, and I noticed that he failed that spell card on normal difficulty 4 times. He's never captured it. Fucking Charles. Anyway, okay, that's enough taking the piss on Charles.
Yeah, we love Charles, of course.
Oh God.
We do that to anybody in that way.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody is safe.
Nobody's safe.
We've been doing the live streams just because it's easy and it's kind of fun. Doing OAM requires a fair bit of editing by comparison, but we got to do OAM. We got to keep this up. It's our thing. We can't just ignore it like we have been. So here we are again. Here I am with Bitter Edge.
Yeah, my second episode that I'm in.
Oh yeah. The recent Toho games also have just been really nice. I've been really happy with them. Have you? I know you're not like too much of a shmup player, but have you played the recent Toho games at all, like 16, 17?
I wish that I could say that I have, but unfortunately I haven't. But that gives me kind of like a good thing to do like soon.
Yeah.
Especially now that I've got like a PC, because in the last one I believe I was recording on a Mac laptop.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier to do that now without having. Oh God. Yeah.
So I've really liked them a lot. Like I would say, like as a matter of fact, that 16 and 17 both are in my top 3, like after Imperishable Night. Yeah, they're so good. It's really refreshing after the pile of garbage that was Toho 15, as I keep constantly stating. Legacy of Lunatic shit is what that game is. Anyway, they've been going in a good direction. Both of them have spell practice again. I really wish Zune would bring back last spells and last words, but maybe someday. I don't know. We'll see. And I've been playing Imperishable Night a lot recently again. It's refreshing to be playing this after playing some of the less great Toho games recently, like Toho 11. We did a live stream of Toho 11 on hard mode. I don't like that game very much. It's, the guy that does those, the faggot videos, the fucking awesome Get Good Guide on Toho, that guy. One of the things he is quoted as saying is, and I know it was in a comedic context, but he said that some of the Toho games have spell practice. These are the only good ones. And to an extent, I kind of almost agree with that. I hate to say it, but it's like playing all these other Toho games. It's like, man, it just seems like the ones that don't have spell practice are just not nearly as good. And like the Wan, like not the Wan, the Edo games or whatever, that group that makes Book of Star Mythology, Hollow Song of Birds, and Riverbed Soul Saver. Yeah. Those games are so good. Like, so good. Yeah. Like, even compared to the official games, they're better than a lot of the official games, it's sad to say. So, yeah, I don't know. Imperishable Night just feels like a pretty big step up. It's just a lot more enjoyable, the patterns, and the fact that, there's like the time orb system and going for grays and whatnot actually does something for you because you get extra lives with points. It just feels so rewarding and fun to play. Yeah. It's really nice. And even 16 and 17 are a bit lacking in that department, but they do have fun spell cards and good variety and unique mechanics to some extent. I mean, heck, 17 made Yomu playable. That really was surprising. I mean, dang, Yomu is playable. She doesn't suck.
I think that's part of the reason I have trouble getting into the game is because I am kind of a cushy, move at your own pace player of video games. So when I have to literally move myself in exactly just the right spots not to die, and then I die over and over again, it really drives me a little nuts. Not to say I don't think it looks amazing. I mean, just watching videos of some of these spell cards, it's just I really wish that I could do that. But I'm just like...
It takes a lot of dedication.
Yeah, and my specialty in games is mostly open world games and breaking open world games. That's where all my dedication goes. I found tons of glitches in Breath of the Wild, and I just will sit for hours on one wall trying to like clip through it by any means I can. You know, like it's, I don't know. So I guess that's kind of why I struggle with like the Toho games.
Yeah. You a games player? You want to be a pro?
Yeah, man.
You're listening to OAM.
So, we are a few months into the coronavirus pandemic at the time of recording, and now we are a few days into the George Floyd riots, which are happening right now as this is going on. People are probably still rioting at this very moment. So we're gonna need a little bit of ease for this shitload of fuck. So let's crack one open as per Oriental Elite's tradition. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is so. It was bad enough already that people were just, not really social distancing. I mean, you go to the supermarkets and you see people all standing all close to each other, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody ever gives a shit about safety. No. I doubt anybody's really washing their hands for 20 seconds or doing any of the stuff that you're supposed to do.
Well.
Oh, well.
Yeah, drives me a little nuts because I work at a coffee shop.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's good because we all wear gloves, but, ideally, realistically, you're supposed to change your gloves any time that you touch something that could have, that could spread coronavirus. And then, for extra safety, you're really supposed to wash your hands every time you change gloves.
Yeah.
Or like before you put on new gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kind of bothers me is just the fact that so many of my coworkers don't follow that, and why it really bothers me too is because we're in food service.
Yeah.
We have a drive-through. We're not doing sit down now, but we do takeout, we do drive-through. I know this is probably the same for a lot of other food service places too, but I can't really count the amount of times that my coworkers have washed their hands while I've been on the job. And there's tons of old people that are coming through, and it like freaks me out. Like none of us have, from what we know yet, nobody here has coronavirus. Everybody who has been potentially sick, fortunately they've stayed out of work for the, period they were sick. Mm-hmm. But, we're not allowed on while they had a fever. But, imagine if the symptoms were like dormant and then they handed, out like a coffee when they didn't change their gloves or something and they, got an old person sick and they died. That's terrible.
Yeah. That's terrible. And you know something? Boy, do I know it. Boy, do I have experience working in food service. And yeah, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody who works in food service cares. And it's really unfortunate. It really is, because it's such a problem. I can't even begin to imagine how much disease spreading rates would be cut down by people following rules. Just following rules. That's all it is, The regulations, they are there for a reason, but nobody gives a shit about it. Nobody really cares because it doesn't affect them directly. So, they scoff at it. They scoff at the idea of caution. That's how they are.
Yeah.
And so, it's pretty unfortunate to hear that even when it matters most, it seems that they still don't care very much, the average person.
Well, yeah, maybe part of this is my fault. When this kind of started, I vividly remember, a couple of my coworkers, I guess this is better than nothing, but we were directed to wash our hands for, like you said, 20 minutes, or 20 minutes, 20 seconds.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
If you still have skin on your hands, it's not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. I remember, even though, we like literally just had training, like I done that the Friday before my next week start going back in, and that following Tuesday, what do I see? They are, like several of them are using hand sanitizer. And hand sanitizer I would say is better than nothing, but like I don't think hand sanitizer really replaces washing your hands. To me, it feels good when I'm on the go and I need my hands to be clean, but like I always just feel better after I wash my hands. It does not feel like a replacement to me. It feels like a substitute.
I mean, in this instance, it's acceptable. It is, but you still want to wash your hands. In addition to that, just for the sake of like cleaning your hands, but for the sake of killing viruses, yeah, hand sanitizer will be enough. That's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I think part of it too is like my hands always feel kind of like it doesn't really get rid of the like I don't know exactly how to feel. Almost like gritty, not gritty, but like
well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
weird
talking about.
feeling on my hands. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were wearing gloves. We are still wearing gloves and stuff. But that was when the COVID outbreak started. Now they're not even using hand sanitizer anymore. They're changing their gloves and stuff, but they're not even using hand sanitizer anymore. Like they think it's all good now. It's like that's not the case. When we're kind of going like following this stream of things, I saw a this is kind of humorous, but it was like the rest of the world still dealing with the main quest of coronavirus, and then America is off on like a side quest with the
riots.
Really sad, like we're fighting, like it's to me it's really sad that we still have like
the riots are a side quest. That's really good. Okay. Oh my god, yeah. The George Floyd riots. It's oh Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into that now then, right?
Mm-hmm.
The George Floyd riots. It's I like to watch a guy on YouTube who goes by Sunburned Albino, and he does this sort of podcast thing that he calls Stream of Consciousness, I believe. And so he talked about it pretty recently, and he's a pretty sensible guy. Pretty sensible guy. Recommend checking him out. But anyway, he talked about it, and he was like, people will say, in response to the relatively low numbers of like how often these things happen, because like realistically, the amount of unarmed black people killed by police officers is like 20 one year and then like 9 the next year, which is really low numbers. And people will be like, well, it should be 0. Well, every crime's number should be at 0, but it's not going to be because we don't live in magical fantasy land where everything is happy, sunshine, rainbows. Bad things happen in this fucking world. So, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's always going to be, and at the risk of sounding pessimistic, but there's always somebody out there who's, always going to be racist. It's good to spread the awareness and everything, I think, but, I also, it's just bound to happen.
This isn't about spreading awareness, though, and you know it, and that's the problem. That's the problem. People just want to riot, Like, nobody out there is there because they want to spread awareness. People are there because they want to riot. And that's where I take a massive issue with this, right? Because that's what this is all about. That's what fucking liberals just want to riot. They just want to burn down police buildings and get together and scream about stuff because, I don't know, it makes them feel good. It tickles their fancy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. So that's what people are doing now. Yep, they're burning down police buildings and just... Son of a bitch. It doesn't change a thing. It doesn't help a thing.
No.
Especially burning down, like, small businesses. Jesus Christ. Yeah. And, like, they're having a hard enough time during the pandemic, like, getting business. And now they're being attacked. People have to fear for their businesses. Yeah. People in cities. Every major city in America. People are going nuts over it. And
Yeah.
you know why? It's because they want to riot. And it is no other reason than because they want to riot.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when
So
I said that,
fuck you, everybody who's rioting. Fuck you. All right?
yeah, and I definitely didn't mean that to sound like I'm condoning rioting, because I absolutely do not. I think that's terrible. When I said that, like, I don't mean anything that's related to the people on the streets rioting when I talk about awareness, because I agree, that's not awareness. When you burn down the people's building who are supposed to help you, how are they going to help you when they don't have a place to go? You know what I mean? Like,
people are looting as well. That's part of the whole rioting thing.
Did you see the picture of the New York City Nintendo store?
I did not see it, but I did see videos of GameStops and things like that. Like, what is robbing a GameStop? It doesn't do anything. People are using it as an opportunity because they're opportunistic scumbags. And fuck every last one of them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, like, how does it spread awareness? It doesn't. How could it ever spread awareness when you break into the New York Nintendo store by smashing their glass panels, looting everything in the store, and, like, graffitiing the crap out of it?
So, of course, Colin and I made that little PSA video. It was just basically us screaming. Because we like to do that as well. We like to scream about stuff. So we used that as an opportunity to scream about stuff, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about it somewhat for real,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our thoughts on that video are legit. They're just very exaggerated legit.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Advice, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. It's not over yet, Definitely still be wary about it. Don't go out and party. That's for fucking sure. Don't do that. That's retarded, right? And then, aside from that, oh baby, coronavirus, stock market baby, we're making some big profits. Of course, me and Bitter Edge over here are investors. And Jesus Christ, especially today, today being, what day is it? It's June 4th. And holy crap. Yeah, just today, oh man, airline stocks are exploding right now. It's a good time to be an investor, let me tell you something.
Yeah, well, you went up, you said like 100% on one of your
Spirit
stocks.
Airlines.
Yeah,
Yep.
I went up just under 60% by the end of the market, by the market's closing today.
Yeah, it actually by market close I'm up to over 115. Dang, it's been a really good day. So become an investor too. It's not as scary as it sounds. It's just tips for everyone. Just look into it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's a lot of I can't necessarily speak for Ash here, but there's a lot of they make it really easy these days. If you go back into the 80s and 90s, it was a different world. Now we have
it was so much harder.
Apps and stuff that, just kind of put everything right in front of you, make it really easy. I am not very versed in how it used to be, but, it's not scary anymore. You can just kind of dip your foot in the water, and kind of jump into it pretty easy. I started by just investing, I think at first, $20, and now I'm investing
bigger amounts. You're getting bigger,
because I can make better choices now that I am learning stuff.
Yeah, and it's really isn't too bad an idea to start with very small, minute investments, because then you can get an idea for how things work. And you're not going to be making a whole lot of money with a $20 investment, but you're also not going to really be losing anything. I would say $100 is a good starting point. Get $100 because that's enough to buy a good diversity of stocks. Just one stock and a few things here and there. So somewhat cheaper stocks. Yeah. And you can just see how it goes. It's just about knowing when things are going to be in season, in business. You buy things when they're low, you sell them when they're high. It's a pretty straightforward concept. And
if you look into it at all too, a little research can kind of point you in a good direction. I did some research and I ended up buying I don't remember exactly when it was, but I bought one share of Visa for $160.
Yeah.
And I've made about $34 off it since I bought it. So, if you just do a little bit of research and things too. I mean, it's better if you do more research, but you don't have to go into huge depths or anything.
And generally speaking, if the general consensus on a stock is good, it's probably going to be good. Rarely is the case when big investors are saying, I'm buying this, and it turns out to not be a good deal, because the market is very predictable. Generally speaking, it's very predictable. Nobody really saw the coronavirus incident coming, but after it started, you could see when it started to spread everywhere and the market started taking a dip, you could see that was the time to sell, and that's the kind of thing you want to be watching out for when you're an investor, Yeah. And you don't just have to invest in stock either. You can invest in physical things. You can invest in gold. You can invest in merchandise if you so desire. You could become, a realtor if that's so your inclination. It's something you expand from, but stocks are a very easy starting point.
Yeah, and I didn't even know about that until I talked to Ash recently, because he was telling me about how he bought what was it, physical silver.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a clue you could do that. And it wasn't, it's not that hard. There's
like ETFs. I bought ETFs.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple, things you might not think about.
So there you go. Future tips for everyone.
You're listening to Oriental AM. Enjoy.
So now we're getting into the third segment, but I just want to get this out of the way beforehand because we never got around to mentioning this before, but just want to mention what happened to George Floyd absolutely was not justifiable. The officer was absolutely in the wrong. It was a terrible thing that happened to him, but the rioting is also a terrible thing. So we were mainly focusing on that. I think it's pretty obvious that what happened was not acceptable, but
of course,
the response was also unacceptable. So now, in this segment, we are going to be talking about modern technology and how it is just getting shitter and shitter, essentially. So, of course, Colin and I have been talking about mobile phones recently because I got an email from my service provider, my phone service provider, which is Ting. Highly recommended, by the way. It's a great service, much lower fees than any other carrier. You don't got to deal with contracts. Oh, it's great. But that's besides the point. So anyway, I got an email from them talking about 5G networks coming out soon. That by the end of the year, most major carriers, including Ting, Ting's not really a major carrier, but they're included in the bunch, are not going to be supporting older generations anymore, right? And they seem to be a little bit confused. Their system seems to be a little bit confused because it was claiming that 2 out of 3 of the phones on our plan are not compatible, that they would not be modern enough, essentially. But the thing is, they are LTE phones, and LTE is still going to be working. 5G is new, but 4G LTE is still usable, right? So we shouldn't have a problem, but the systems seem to think that these phones are out of date. So whatever, Anyway, it got me looking into phones again, regardless of whether or not I'm going to need to buy one anytime soon. And man, phones really, really have gone downhill. There was a time when phones were a lot better. There was a good era, a good era where you had the Samsung 5, the Galaxy S5, you had the Xperia XZ Premium or whatever, and the LG G3, G4, whatever, those ones, That was a good generation of phones. And they were all nice. They all had some kind of thing going for it. Each brand had their own sort of aesthetic, And these days, they all look the same. They're all holographic. They're all way too big. They got giant screens for no reason. That 18:9 aspect ratio, which I just hate. The screen's got to cover the entire goddamn phone. It's got to warp around the camera, which just looks awful. Oh, they're so bad that every single one of them is like this. And a lot of them no longer have 3.5 millimeter jacks anymore, which, by the way, I blame Apple for that. Thanks, Apple, for starting that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Thanks for getting rid of buttons as well. The angry video game there, he posted one of those, what's the bullshit videos. Did he post that, like, just today?
I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday, okay.
But yeah.
So just recently, he was talking about this stuff, too. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just, like, kind of a current talking point, but that's what we're talking about now. And it's not just, it's not just phones, Phones are getting worse.
Yeah.
They're all, like, needlessly... This is the worst part, They keep advancing, but it's actually a regression, because they're getting more powerful processors and higher resolution screens for no reason. Why in the name of fuck do you need a 4K screen on a tiny-ass phone? What does that matter? What does that resolution matter? It does not make a difference. 1080p is perfectly clear. Definitely good enough,
And that's the thing too, is like so many consumers who don't do any research at all. They just see, 4K, that means it's good.
Yeah, big number is good. Anyway, all it does is make the battery life lower, and a lot of modern phones have that problem of really bad battery life. I myself, I got a Sony Xperia XA2 Ultra, and dang, it's quite good. The battery life is phenomenal on this thing. I'm happy with it, So why sacrifice battery life for processing power that doesn't matter and screen resolution, which doesn't make a difference? I don't know, man. It's pissing me off.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'll even be willing to just talk about the crap on my phone. I have a Google Pixel 3a.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the Google Pixel 3a is it actually looks a lot like an iPhone, but it's Google branded, and I'm not letting Google off the hook by any means. I really just went with this phone because it had a really nice camera.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly a flagship phone, but for being a cheaper phone for what I could buy, it had a pretty good camera.
Yeah.
Also, at the time, I was interested in some of the things Google was offering, which later we'll talk about how that's pretty crappy.
All right.
But, let me just talk about Google for a second.
Okay, you do that.
Google has really cruddy design choices, I've noticed. If you look at the Google Pixel 4, if you start to bend the phone, now obviously, hopefully you're not deciding to just bend your phone on purpose, but let's say you sat down on it or something, or I don't know, it got pushed somehow. You will notice that the bottom of it crack inwards and the top of it crack inwards because of where they placed the antennas on each side. So it literally just snaps. It's poor, it was really stupid. It was
That's
really stupid.
Unfortunate.
Yes, and then for my phone, Ash will tell you, because when I first got it and we were recording a video, I had this kind of, it's kind of like a fabric phone case, because I don't really like bulky phone cases. I just don't trust myself enough to not wear a case. But it seemed pretty nice. It was Google made. I figured, okay, it's going to be good because, they designed it to work specifically for this phone. But what is so stupid is the edges between where a screen protector goes on it and where the case ends on the phone. If you drop it and it hits one of the corners, it will crack under the screen. It's insane. So my phone cracked under the screen protector and actually cracked the screen, and there was nothing I could do about it. So fortunately I had a replacement plan on it, so I could pay the fee and get a brand new phone from it that didn't have that. But I'm definitely not going with a Google case on one of these phones ever again. They just make such stupid choices with things like that. It's like, well, sure, it could look a little more blocky, if it went just a little bit further over the edge of the phone, that would have never happened.
Yeah.
They just chose design, like the look of it over the functionality.
Well, it's got to be said, though, that phone cases, generally speaking, can't do much to protect your phone. I'd like to say that as well, unless it's an OtterBox, unless it's like a big-ass, bulky protector, which you've already said you don't like. I don't like them either. But unless you're willing to put one of those types of protectors on your phone, it's really not going to do much either way, you know?
Well, I know, but I mean, like, actually, I'm going to tell you something, because I had a Tech 21 case. Mm-hmm. That thing is pretty sleek. I had that on an LG Stylo 3 Plus. I dropped my phone so much back then, and it protected it like it was insane. It protected it as well as one of my old OtterBox cases.
Oh, yeah.
The only difference was that I'd have to replace the screen protector every few times because it got really cracked. But I'd never cracked under the screen protector. The whole reason I do a thin case and a screen protector, if the case is any kind of good case, then it shouldn't crack under the screen protector. See, I'm going with, this time, I will keep you posted on how it goes, but I'm going with an OtterBox, I think it was an OtterBox Defender or Symmetry or something like that, but it's one of the thinner OtterBox ones. And I'm going to put a screen protector on it, and, you know, my dad happens to have a Pixel 3a XL. I have the 3a with the default size. He's had that case on it for several months now, and, you know, he's dropped his phone frequently, too. I don't know what it is with us, why we drop our phones. But, you know, we both happen to do it. But anyway, he has not had that crack, but he had the same exact thing happen to him with this case.
Oh, I see.
It cracked under the screen protector. It's such bullcrap.
Sounds like it's just a pretty cheap-ass phone, it's gotta be said. Cheap-ass designed.
Well, the case anyway, yeah. I mean, like, this cost way more than that OtterBox one. This costs like $40. It's a piece of crap. That one, I'm getting an OtterBox case that doesn't come in the retail packaging for $18. Oh my god, and you know the quality of OtterBox.
Yeah, like I said, they're good.
Yeah, you know, so it's ridiculous. It's like Google just, you know, pissed me off, dude.
Yeah, and of course, we've been talking about phones for quite a long time now, but that's not entirely the focus of this segment. We want to just talk about modern technology in general, like cars, because we always end up talking about cars on the live stream, you know, it's Charles' thing, it's, you know, kind of me and Colin have, you know, sort of gotten into cars a bit more recently as well, and yeah, so cars, modern cars, we all hate modern cars. Everybody in the OE hates modern cars, right? They have pretty much the same issue that phones do, in that they are all uniform and ugly looking, and then, more importantly, they are uniformly shit. They all have these unnecessary extra features, and the features that actually matter are getting pushed to the side. It's the exact same issue in car form, you know? Issues like reliability, or, you know, impact resistance. And, like, to be fair, if all cars were as light as modern cars were, that would be an ultimately better thing. But the problem is that heavy-ass older cars are still on the road, and they're a lot safer
freaking like
to be.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like mine's a 20-year-old car, and that thing's heavy as heck. You know, like, I've got a goddamn Lincoln LS, and that thing has got so much freaking metal, dude. If I flew into a modern car.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh god. Modern cars suck. Modern phones suck. Everything. All modern technology is going downhill. You know something? My family bought a laptop, a $300, pretty cheap, low-end laptop at a Best Buy in 2010, and that thing still works today. You know, decade later, it's still functional. It's just fine. And it was, at the time we bought it, it was pretty dang fast. Now it's a little bit slow. I mean, the hard drive is quite old now. If we were to replace the hard drive, I'm sure it'd be just fine, you know? But my mother bought a $300 laptop not too long ago, you know? Same price range, but much, much more recent, like probably only a few months ago, you know? So like this year. And oh my god, it's a piece of shit. It's like, even just browsing the internet is slow on it. It's so much weaker. And it's thinner. And that's where I think the problem lies, is that everything is just about making things more modern looking, you know? Like, you gotta sacrifice all the performance for the sake of modernizing things. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
That old laptop is a lot bulkier, but at least it works, you know?
Yeah. And I think there's something that can be said for old bulky stuff, too. Like, I think we both agree at this point. We were just talking about the cars. You were just saying this, but look at, what was it, the iPhone 4? That was boxy.
Mm-hmm.
But it stood up, like, you could stand it up. That was awesome. My car, boxy, and it looks so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at, like, these, I mean, even as much as, like, 2007 Camrys, I don't know exactly when they started, but they're all bubbly and round.
Yeah.
Modern design really stinks.
It's bad. It's no good. But
yeah,
like design is really a relative thing, and maybe it's just us. Maybe it's just we're a bunch of old wankers over here. But that's what we think anyway. Of course, the mechanics are what's a lot more important, and that also is similarly taking a nosedive in modern times. Of course, I did that Ash is Pissed video about DeviantArt, talking about modern websites, losing. That was something I mentioned too, was just that I didn't want to spend too much time talking about it in general because I was supposed to be talking about DeviantArt. But modern websites in general are like, just everything is dying. Like, everything good about the old internet is dying, All the customization and all the things we used to love about it is going downhill. Forums are closing down. It's terrible. Forums are closing in favor of Discord as well, which is not an alternative. It's not a suitable alternative.
I agree.
You can use Discord for community purposes, but just not quite to the extent that a forum does. And, the main reason for it is archival purposes, You go on Google and you search up something, just any questions you have about some specific particular thing, right? Like tech issues, like say computer issues. 9 times out of 10, the answer you find is going to be cataloged on a forum. And that stuff is going away. People don't use forums anymore because people go to Discord. So now, what do you have to do instead? You got to go find a Discord server for your tech issues and talk to somebody on a Discord. I'm going a little bit too specific with this. Tech forums are still around. There are still people using tech forums. It's not gotten quite to this point yet, but I'm just trying to make a point here, okay? Let's say tech just to make this generic, but any forum, okay? Now what you got to do is you got to go on and ask somebody and wait for an answer, and people will have to reply to that same question multiple times. Every time somebody comes along and asks it, somebody's got to answer it again because it's not cataloged properly like a forum does. With a forum, you go on a search engine, you look it up, and there's your answer on a forum. 5 years ago, somebody answered that question,
Well, it's like, imagine if a library, we all just dropped libraries in, search of another store, which had pros on the subject all over the store, but sometimes they had to leave for something. Or your other alternative in that store is searching through a pile of mixed books, and you had to dig it out and try and find it from an old, it's just so stupid. You'd never do that. There's a reason that libraries make everything specifically have its place.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to find, and it stays there.
Mm-hmm. Discord is something that should be reserved for personal use and for community discussion, like that type of thing. The Walfa Station Wag is on Discord now, and that's fine, But help information and just cataloging stuff, and I don't know, even just I used to play Unison League, I think I've pretty much quit at this point. I just need to stop playing mobile games in general. They're awful. But I was on the Unison League Discord server, and that's another example. The Unison League forum closed down recently in favor of the Discord server. It just makes everything harder. It's so much harder to find information, so much harder to get stuff together and find guild applications and whatnot, just game stuff. Things like that also are better off on a forum. So,
yeah. And
the reason why this stuff is replacing, because you'd think, well, if forums are so much better, why is it that people are moving over to Discord? Well, plain and simple, it's because it's easier for the user, because you don't have to make a new account on a forum. You don't have to sign in. You don't have to follow forum rules. You just use your Discord account. It's universal. You sign into Discord, and then there you go. You're on. And you know something?
Yeah.
Reddit is kind of like that. Reddit is kind of like a forum, but like universal. And that's nice and all. Like, Reddit is a better alternative to Discord for this regard, but it's still not as good as a regular forum. So I'm kind of hoping that we see some sort of like return to form eventually, like after all this bullcrap of modernizing things, taking away features. Eventually, I'm hoping in the future we get to see some things coming along that sort of restore old features of the internet. I mean, heck, You're the Man Now Dog came back online like not too long ago. That's awesome, you know. Some relics of the internet are returning. I'd love to see a new website come along, like a new service that essentially is a forum book, you know, like just like a general thing. It's like a kind of like what Reddit is, but more particular, more like a forum, you know, but it has like a universal login. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I think another thing about it too is every day we've got more kids getting on the internet and learning and finding things, and it really goes along with your point of the easier on the user. But we grew up in a time where forums were everywhere. That was common.
Yeah.
But now, like, these kids getting on the internet, you know, all they have to do is download Discord, talk to their friends, and then boom, now they can try and find their issues too. They, you know, I'm sure they've heard of a forum, but how many of them actively go on forums anymore?
Yeah. It's being phased out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's life, but it really sucks, you know. Younger users take something good away, you know.
Maybe we're just getting old and bitter, you know. Maybe that's all there is to it. We're not, though, because it's true.
No.
Everything we're saying totally holds water.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, God. We're very reasonable.
You know what?
Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. You know, earlier I was talking about it, but you know what really drives me nuts?
What?
I really don't like virtual assistants. Like the Google Assistant, Alexa, Siri, they all drive me nuts. I have Google Assistant, and I will like start talking to it like, okay, Google. And then, you know, it lights up. It's just sitting there in my room. You'll probably hear it talk back in a minute. But then it just, I'll ask it to do something, I'll give it a command, and then it just it like ignores me and turns off all the time. It won't ever work the way I want it to.
Yeah.
It's supposed to just work like it's labeled as an assistant, but instead it's still a crappy robot, you know?
Yeah. They feel so gimmicky, too. Personal assistants. Yeah. It's like, what's the point? A lot of the time,
I know.
It doesn't really do anything faster than you could just do it yourself.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, you know, there's a Google Home app. I like that, actually, because I, you know, like my coffee maker and some outdoor lights and, you know, a water pump we have out there. That's all connected to, like, smart switches and stuff.
Yeah.
That's really nice to just schedule to turn on in the morning. But, like, trying to get Google to do that, it just won't work. Because it, like, I'll say, like, turn the water pump on. And it's like, could you be more specific about what pump? And it's like, there's only one pump. There's only one pump. Why are you asking what specific, you know, it's like,
oh, man.
Which device were you referring to? The pump. What we named it, the pump. Turn it on.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, you know, like, and then I'll ask it to play music, and it won't fine tune it. So, like, I'll say, like, play the Beatles. That alone, that's generic enough. It will just turn on a Beatles playlist. But if I say, like, specifically one song, it might turn on, like, for whatever reason, a live recording, which I don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
And then I try to specify it, and it will play that live version over and over and over again. I will have to go onto my phone at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I say, if you decide to have some smart devices, you know, don't go with a assistant. Just have, like, a Bluetooth speaker that's connected to the internet.
Yeah.
You know, or connected to Google Home. Don't use it. That's all. That's the only way I use my Google Home Mini, is as a speaker.
I've got another pro tip for you as well. You know something? Always make sure you ask your Home Assistant if they are working for the Russian government, because they will tell you. They're legally obligated to tell you if they're working for the Russian government.
Wait.
Give it a try.
Okay, Google. Are you working for the Russian government?
I don't understand.
That's bullcrap.
That's bullcrap. Ask it again. Son of a bitch.
Hey, Google. Are you working for the Russian government?
My apologies. I don't understand.
Oh,
it
they're
does
fighting
not.
it.
It doesn't.
Hang on. Hold on. This is why modern technology sucks. Let me bring the mic real close.
Okay.
Hey, Google. Turn the volume up 5%. It can't even do that. Hey, Google. Are you working for the Russian government?
My apologies. I don't.
Did you hear that?
It doesn't want to answer.
Hey, Google. Are you working for the Russian government? Oh my god. This is a little terrifying.
I think your
not
home
gonna lie.
assistant is working for the Russian government. Like I said, they're obligated to tell you that they're not, and she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to talk.
Let me ask my phone. Hey Google, would you please tell me if you are working for the Russian government? And then it pulls up Russian money laundering. Okay. Well.
All right. Well, now we have our answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible they're collecting my voice to weaponize somehow.
Oh man. Yeah.
Not that I even use it really anymore. I mean, I was really interested in it at the time, but now I just use my phone, the Google Home app to do stuff. I don't even use the assistant anymore.
Yeah, my sister has an Amazon Alexa thing in her room, and I asked it if it was working for the Russian government, and it told me that it works for Amazon. So.
Oh my god.
Wait.
Hey Google, who are you working for?
I work for Google.
But it won't say that it doesn't work for the Russian government also. So how do we know? How do we know it's not a double agent?
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
There
what
you
a
go.
shocking discovery on this episode.
Yeah, and that's another pro tip for all of you. Make sure that your personal assistant is not working for the Russian government.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at the end of the episode again, and we don't have any fan mail to read once again this episode, unfortunately. Send us an email if you would like to have us. We will read anything you send us. Send us death threats because we quite like that as well. Anything you send us, we will read on the episode, guaranteed. So please do that. TheOrientalElites@gmail.com is the address. We'll see you on the next episode.